So, welcome to the Treasury Elite Leadership Series. I would like to thank all our viewers and members for supporting this noble cause of Treasury Elite, whose main objective is networking, knowledge sharing, and mentoring. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Abhishek Goenka, founder and CEO of IFA Global and Treasury Elite. We bring in world class FX, treasury, and financial transformation for companies across India over the last 15 years. And today we have Mr. Rajesh Mehta, founder and executive chairman, Rajesh Exports Limited. Rajesh G. Mehta is the founder chairman of Rajesh Exports. Mr. Mehta started as a first generation entrepreneur and has been instrumental in building a US dollar 35 billion business, Rajesh Group. Rajesh Exports Limited has emerged as the largest gold jewelry company in the world. Ariel is also among the only 7 companies in India which are listed in the prestigious Global Fortune 500 list of companies. Rajeshi has been recipient of several state, national, and international accolades and awards. Rajeshi firmly believes in Indian values and culture. He believes in joint family system, and currently all the 4 brothers, Bipin, Prashant, Rajesh, and Mahesh, stay and work together along with their families. Born in the year 1964, he is happily married to Leena for the last 29 years and has 2 sons, Siddharth and Harish. What people do not know about Rajesh ji is that he is widely traveled and a very, very well read person with keen interest in sports, culture, and social causes. He's a keen sportsman and also excelled in several cultural activities. Rajesh ji is also noted and well recognized philanthropist and is former founder of several other companies, social and religious organizations. Welcome, Mr. Mehta. How are you doing today?
Very fine, Abhishek. Very good. In fact, I'm doing better after seeing you and after seeing, understanding and experiencing this kind of a show, what you're about to conduct. I think you're doing a fantastic job in today's environment, and I think this is the requirement of the moment.
Pleasure is all mine. I'm glad to have you today as a part of the Treasury Elite Entrepreneur Series. And in the next 35 minutes, we will love to learn from your wonderful journey. Rajesh ji, you operate in a very low margin, and innovation is your core motto with 29,000 to 30,000 jewelry designs at any point of time. Cumulatively, I think you would have worked on over a million designs over the last many years. Recently, you acquired Walcombe Refinery in Switzerland, which is a currency by itself because of its reputation, and it supplies gold to the major central banks of the world. Just to give our viewers an idea, Rajesh Exports makes and processes around 950 tons of gold, and India consumes close to 900 tons of gold every year. Take us through your innovation journey and what is your secret sauce to ensure that people across different countries, your recent acquisition, etc., everything is blended in a common culture.
Well, I would say that it is a progressive environment as such, what I would say. That is, we have set our sights, we have, set our objectives that we want to emerge as a, completely, fully integrated gold company in the world. And maybe the first fully integrated gold company in the world because nobody till today anywhere in the history has ever attempted to have a gold company which caters right from mining till the showrooms. That is till the retail showroom catering to the retail customer as such. Because there are various stages here, and each stage has its own expertise and has its own set of environment which is there. And most of these stages, since we are dealing in gold, it's like currency. So since we are dealing in gold, most of these stages are with minimal margins, except the final retail stage, which has some appreciable and some good margin as such. Because anybody buying gold mostly in Asia or even anywhere in the world, would be looking at the resale value. It is not a product which is like a mobile phone or which is like a computer or a TV or a vehicle where you buy and you don't anticipate too much of a return value. You don't get back anything. But in gold, it is not only a consumer product, but it is also an investment product. It is bought more as an investor rather than a consumer product. But while investing, they want to wear it also. They want to enjoy it also. They want to flaunt it also. So this is the only product, I think, across the globe in the history, which is where you invest and you can use it also. You invest in bank. Suppose you invest in bank, you get an FD receipt. What do you do to the FD receipt? You can't wear it and run around. For a mutual fund receipt, you can't wear it and run around. No, this gold is
Correct.
something different. And that is the reason for the trust of people in gold. Since centuries, it's since 5,000-6,000 years, the trust of people in gold. So because of this, everybody wants a resale value. Now, when they want a resale value, the margins across the spectrum of gold business in various segments is highly compressed. Because everywhere it is a gold which plays the main role. That is the base raw material which is there, it plays the main role. The value addition is only the making charges in every different stage. Because gold is controlled by an international price. So everywhere in the world, gold price is same. If you remove the duty and local levies, the customs duty and local levies, gold is priced the same everywhere in the world. It's
Right.
only the charges or the making charges, what you charge on it. The premium, what you charge on it is what you get extra. So the margins being thinner, usually each player is focused on one segment of the business. Is either in refining or is either in bullion trading or is either in manufacturing or maybe wholesaling, exporting or retailing or mining, something like this. But for the first time, Rajesh Exports as such, we are trying to integrate everything and bring everything under one label or under one organization or under one management. So the common thread which connects us in all these various multinational locations or multinational people, our company employs or has various culture of people. We have Europeans, we have Americans, we have Indians, we have Africans, we have all kinds of people who are there in the company. So the common thread which connects, the common culture, that's what was your question, which connects all of us is, in the company, it is a policy to ensure that we focus on work, we work with our focus and hard work and absolute honesty. Honesty to our work. Whatever we do it honestly. There is no question of doing something and talking something or doing something and trying to gain some mileage out of it or anything like that. So this is the common thread, which binds all of us. We believe in work and we work. So we work, we deliver whatever the best we can to the world, and whatever we earn out of it is what we earn. We have learned to live in small margins. We have learned, how to ensure and how to insure ourselves against in this small margin environment as such. So it has become our, culture. It has become our way of working that we have this minimum base margin which cannot be disturbed as such, and that is why we are so competitive in the world compared to anybody else.
So, strong focus towards work, honesty, and integrity with a no nonsense attitude is what Rajesh Exports culture is all about. And that's a very, very interesting point. Now, Rajeshji, you recently, sometime back, launched the brand Shubh. My first question is, what is the brand philosophy of Shubh? Of course, Shubh means pious. I understand that. Uh, and your plans on e-commerce and opening of 3,500 outlets across the country, out of which 2,000, 2,500 would be in India. How have your global customers, because customers are very, very important in any business, and partners helped you in this journey over the last 30, 40 years? Can you share a few examples?
Well, as you said, Shubh means auspicious or pious, as you rightly said. The philosophy of Shubh, that is the base on which Shubh has been built, is value for money for the customers. We have ensured that we give the customer the best goods at the best prices. That is what has been, primarily our philosophy. And as you going by your question, what you asked is how have the customers and how have our partners and how have our stakeholders helped us in achieving this? What I have observed is that when we have a good objective, when we have a good thinking that we want to give value for money to the customer, I find that automatically most of the stakeholders, whether the suppliers or whether the customers or whether the workers or whoever they all come together to achieve this motto. They all come together because they know that we are working towards something which is going to be good for everybody. We are not doing something where we want to earn 40%, 50%. I don't say earning that is bad or good. That is not my comment. But we earn very reasonable profits. We give value for money to the customer. And that has been appreciated by most of our stakeholders. And our honesty and integrity, which is there embedded in our business. Because of these factors, I see that most of our stakeholders, they do come together automatically and, it goes on. It's like, शिद्दत से किसी चीज की इच्छा करो तो कायनात साथ में आती है. They say, no, so it is something like that. So when you have some good objective in mind, automatically karwa banta jata hai. So automatically people join you. So you move forward with that.
Correct. So rightly said. Sahilji, since a lot of entrepreneurs is part of Treasury Elite and a lot of people would be listening to you, your company value has increased by over 3,000 times since 1995 when you raised your first 10 crores. You have very well integrated from mining to end consumer. You have remained a zero debt company. Please share your thoughts and strategy. How to manage this level of excellence with a zero debt kind of a mindset?
Well, it is a little difficult to define it in words. It is more of an experience and more of a habit basically. Yes, if I am asked to define this, I would say I would not like, or it is a different mindset. It's a question of mindsets again. There are mindsets which feel that no, we should grow faster by taking more debt, and then we can kickstart it and do in a big way, etc. There are mindsets who feel that no, let's grow with our own money, and there are also mindsets, like what we think. Let us earn, let us save, let us plow that back in the business, make that itself as our debt and grow. That is the story. So what we do is we keep our philosophy, our culture is that we do not unnecessarily expend money. We conserve our wealth, whatever is there, in a proper systematic manner. And we plow back all this wealth back into the business. It is not that we think that नहीं थोड़ा यहाँ रख दिया, थोड़ा वहाँ रख दिया, debt ले लिया, काम शुरू कर दिया. I don't blame that philosophy. I'm not telling that वो गलत है, मैं सही हूँ, मैं गलत हूँ, वो सही है. I'm not a judgment. I'm not sitting on judgment, or I'm not a judge to say anything on this. Every philosophy has its own merits and demerits.
Correct.
But what I would think that if you are without the debt, then you are earning for yourself.
Correct.
If you are saddled with a big debt, then you are earning also for your silent partner who has given the debt for you. Debt to you, I mean. So, and if that silent partner overrides you, or if the balance tilts, then a situation will come where you will be earning only for him.
Correct.
Further tilt, a situation will come where you will not even be earning for him also. Forget about yourself, you will not be earning enough for him also. And then you keep getting into bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and deeper hole. Not that we are afraid of taking a debt or anything like that, but I think my philosophy is to be content, in focusing on our work, earning whatever we can in a correct, straightforward manner, saving that earning, flowing it back in the business, and growing the business. In fact, you try to economize your operations. You try to see that unnecessary money is not spent by either you or by anybody else in your organization. Try to save money. I'm not telling you cut corners drastically so that they hurt you. Not that's not the point. But unnecessary spending is not required. I don't need to travel in a big Mercedes or a big aeroplane or a big yacht or anything like that to show yacht or anything like that to show. I don't believe in that. I believe firmly and clearly to be on the ground, to be like a common man, to ensure that our entire organization also behaves like that, and we focus hard on the work, but don't indulge in unnecessary spending. That capital itself will help you in your growth. This is what is my philosophy as such. Maybe we may not be able to grow as fast as others, possible, but at least that will ensure that out of 100 who have adopted the other policy of growing only with the debt, it is maybe 90 has collapsed. You may not at least collapse in this philosophy. You may not grow, but you will at least sustain yourself. That's what I feel. So that is why, we believe in not going for too much of debt or not going for debt at all, and work within our resources.
In fact, आपकी डेट से ध्यान आया कि लास्ट 15-20 सालों में जब मैंने कंपनियों से I have found that the journey has been like this and this. And the major common thread among all these journeys in trading firms, in coal trading firms, in oil importing firms, is that the level of debt in these firms. और जब आपका साइकिल चलता है तो आपका लेवरेज भी बढ़ता है, और अगर वो लेवरेज डेट से है तो टिपिकली व्हेन यू फॉल विद अ लेवरेज. तो जब आपने कमाया तो 10, 20, 40 में कमाया, जब आपने खोया तो 80 में खोया. दूसरी बात राजेश जी, अगर हाँ जी आप बोल रहे हैं कुछ,
आप बहुत अच्छी तरह समझे जो मैंने बोला वो. You were able to concise it very very nicely of what I meant basically by telling this. डेट लेना कोई बुरी बात नहीं है, लेकिन डेट का भार सहन करके उसको स्टेडी रह के उसको संभालना, उसको लेकर चलना, ये बड़ी बात है. दैट इज गोइंग टू बिग थिंग. और जैसा आपने कहा जब गिरेंगे, व्हेन यू फॉल, that is like a stone around your neck. It pulls you down faster. So that's the whole thing. You said it perfectly well.
करेक्ट. इनफैक्ट अगर आप आज के दिन पे लास्ट 6 महीने की जो कंपनीज की वैल्यूएशंस बढ़ी हैं ग्लोबली, मैं एक यूएस की या अमेरिका की बात नहीं कर रहा, इफ यू कंपेयर दी ऑल द मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन ऑफ ऑल द मेजर स्टॉक मार्केट्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, ये 2 हिस्सों में बढ़ गया है. एक जो कंपनियों में डेट नहीं है और एक कंपनियों में जहां डेट बहुत ज्यादा है. एंड जिनमें डेट नहीं है उनकी वैल्यूएशन यहां पहुंच गई है, और जिनमें डेट है उनकी वैल्यूएशंस नीचे आ गई है. सो कोविड हैज divided the companies into 2 sectors. Of course, high growth companies like the FANG stocks and Amazon and all these things are a different cash flow story. But otherwise, high debt and low debt में कंपनियों को डिवाइड कर दिया गया है ग्लोबली.
COVID has leveled the field for everybody. That's the thing.
Correct. So, Rajesh ji, you have to work with so many people. How do you differentiate between entrepreneurship and management? Gold jewelry is a tricky business. How do you keep a balance between trust and delegation? And what are the traits in people that you observe when you are hiring someone? And this is a question for all the family-based entrepreneurs who are listening to you today.
Let me just try to, put your question in my perspective, that what I have understood of your question. When we take people, what do we look into them and how do we manage them? Trust, intelligence, or how do we rate them and how do we take them and how do we grow them? Well, our philosophy, especially as you rightly said, in gold business, which is a tricky business, and in family-backed enterprises, we believe in picking up people from absolute normal background. What we look at in them when we are taking them is primarily their dedication towards work and their loyalty factor. We really can't look into the future very easily, but from our experience, we can at least make out that yes, this person would be a dedicated person towards work, and this person would be loyal to the organization.
Correct.
Once we have these two qualities in a person, we believe in training this person in whatever slot we want to fit him or her in, whatever slot we want to fit the person in. We train the person and then put that person in that slot. And then that person executes his job again and again, the same job he keeps doing. We don't want too many thinkers in the company. We don't want too many creators in the company. We have a few creators who are always thinking what to do next. They create, they think, they download the jobs to the people who are actually the task force, who are nothing else but task force. They are assigned a job, they have to do that job. It may be a repetitive job which they do from 9 to 6 or 9 to 7 or whatever it is. But they're assigned a job, they have to do that. So I believe in segregating our work among people in such a way that the people, when they do that repeatedly, they become masters or experts in their job.
Correct.
We don't, the person, let me tell you, the person who is dedicated or integrated normally will have a common strain in him that would be basically of intelligence also. He will be fairly intelligent also. Only then he can be dedicated, and only then he can be, hardworking, etc. A dumb person cannot be. That dumb person will not be able to, basically differentiate between these things. The person, he may not have double degree or he may not have a big qualification. There may be various reasons why he doesn't have the qualification. He might not have got an opportunity, or he might have at that exact time not made up with that opportunity or not encashed that opportunity, whatever it is. But rather than looking at the degrees, we look at the person. We allocate degrees from our side. We feel as this person is a graduate in our mind, and this person fits in properly. He's a dedicated person. He seems to be a loyal person, so we should take him. So we grow him from there. And our people, we have people working since 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. People continue with us. And I have always seen, this is my, again, personal conviction, that normal people who have their feet on the ground stay with you much longer than the so-called very intelligent brigade. The very intelligent brigade, it's very difficult to control them.
Stars. The stars who keep changing jobs and become a shooting star after some time. In fact, बहुत सही कहा आपने. In fact, a lot of people are thinking in this perspective कि भाई क्वालिफिकेशन को अलग रखो. एक जन से मैं बात कर रहा था, उन्होंने कहा कि भाई मेरे बच्चों को मैंने एमबीए कराया और फिर 2 साल लग गए उसे अनलर्न करने में, और उनको ये बताया कि भाई धंधा ऐसे नहीं होता है. हम तो बड़े बड़े इंस्टीट्यूट में भी नहीं जाते हैं, वो कह रहे थे. और ही इज ऑल्सो अ बिलियनियर, ही रन्स अ लार्ज कंपनी. और हम तो सीधे साधे लोग को हायर करते हैं जो हार्ड वर्किंग हो, मेहनती हो और ट्रस्टवर्दी हो, तो हमारा काम चल जाता है.
Correct. Absolutely. We are also of the same philosophy and the same culture what we believe in. I don't know we are right or wrong, but we believe in that culture. We go ahead with that culture.
नहीं, अच्छी बात है. जब चल रहा है उस कल्चर के संग और अच्छा चल रहा है, तो डेफिनेटली आवर the source is somewhere right, and that's the reason it's working. So, Rajesh ji, you have been a follower of Lord Ganesha, and what I understand by your thoughts and your actions is simplicity and humility is one of the traits that you and your company have. Also, I feel success in entrepreneurship does not happen till you know how to control your thoughts and master the science of thinking right and far. What are your 3 major learnings from your spiritual journey? And also take us through your fitness routine.
My 3 major learnings, I think already told in all my talk with you. Shall we say that they are learnings, or shall we say that they are requirements, or shall we say that they have been improved over a period of time? In fact, the 3 basic ingredients for any entrepreneur, I'm absolutely convinced about this. It's a different thing that you may hit a jackpot by not having all these three things also, and suddenly overnight you become something, but that's the rarest of rare case. 99% of the entrepreneurs, I think, would watch for this. Absolute clear, honesty, hard work, integrity. There is no replacement for this. If you can show me one entrepreneur who has become an entrepreneur and remained an entrepreneur without these three qualities, I don't think you'll find any.
So you said hard work, integrity, and third was vision.
Honesty, hard work, integrity एक compulsion है. इसके बगैर आपको वो एनवायरमेंट ही नहीं मिलेगा, वो वातावरण ही नहीं मिलेगा जहां से आप आगे बढ़ सको. You will be in such company. If you are not hard worker, you will be in all company of loafers which will not allow you to work. If you are not integrated, you will be in company of all, those kind of people who will not give you a proper mindset. And if you are not, fundamentally honest, nothing will happen.
Correct.
So honesty, integrity, and hard work, a team change. I think from the beginning, I thought it is there. It has to be there. And what my spiritual journey to entrepreneurship has taught me is it has made my conviction much, much stronger in these three things. कोई कुछ भी कह लेगा, इस तरह ये तो बड़ा हो गया, रातों रात अपने आप कुछ करके बगैर, उसमें कोई दम नहीं है वो बातों में. वो उसी को मालूम है कि उसने क्या क्या किया है वहां पहुंचने के लिए.
करेक्ट.
उसी को मालूम है कितनी मेहनत की है, कितनी ईमानदारी से मेहनत की है और कितनी इंटीग्रिटी से उसने. इंटीग्रिटी मीन्स एटलीस्ट इंटीग्रिटी टू योर वर्क. दूसरा ने अपने वर्क के लिए इंटीग्रिटी होनी चाहिए कि मैं ये काम कर रहा हूँ, मेरे इस काम को मैं पूरी ईमानदारी से निभाऊंगा. बहुत जरूरी है, उसके बगैर नहीं हो सकता. मेरी सोच ये पक्की है. अदर्स में इफ दे डिफर इट्स ओके, बट आई एम वेरी वेरी श्योर अबाउट दिस. ये तीन चीज मैंने लाइफ में पिकअप की है. अगर ये तीन चीज आपके पास है, आप भले अपनी एंटरप्रेन्योर जर्नी में एक बार गिरो, दो बार गिरो, 10 बार गिरो या बार बार गिरो, लेकिन ये तीन चीज को आप पकड़ के रहोगे तो फिर उठोगे, फिर चलो. उसमें कोई नहीं. That is definitely, you have these three things, you are bound to move forward. There is no doubt about it. ये मेरा टेक अवे जो मैंने मेरी जर्नी में लिए है, 40 साल की जर्नी में जो लिए है, वो ये है. अभी आपने फिटनेस रेजिम बोला, देखिए इस बात का भी मुझे पक्का कन्विक्शन है कि विदाउट फिटनेस एंड विदाउट हेल्थ नथिंग इज देयर इन दिस वर्ल्ड. कोई मतलब ही नहीं है, कोई मीनिंग ही नहीं है. I think a reasonably good fitness routine. I, in fact, play cricket every day. At 2:00, I am on the ground at 6:45. From 6:45 till 8:00, I play cricket every day. After cricket, I do some exercises like planks and push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups and all these things. I do that. So that is my morning regime of fitness, which is, without that, I don't think any day of mine would have gone. 100% it is there. Sometimes if there is rain or if I'm not able to play cricket, I run. I run for about 5 to 6 kilometers. I can run well, even at this age. In the evening, in the night, before going to bed, I do some weight training in my house, in my own room, no gym or anything. I do some weight training, weightlifting and dumbbells and all that. And the most important thing in my fitness regime, I think this is going to surprise you or anybody, is the diet. I eat only once a day. And I do not eat anything after or before that. I have only one lunch a day, no juice, no snacks, nothing. Only one lunch. After 24 hours, again I put something in my stomach, except water, nothing. Only water. I have found this to be very good. In fact, I am a Jain. So our Jainism, in fact, this we call as Ekasana in Jain. Ekasana means eating once a day. So I do permanent ekasanas. Sunday is the only day where I eat twice or thrice because of being with the family, etc. Otherwise, all the 6 days, compulsorily, I eat only once a day. And because of this diet and this fitness regime, I have found that age is only a number. I feel more fitter, more better than what I was 30 years back or even 35 years back. Because of this regime, I think it is helping. I don't want to overdo it or I don't want to underdo it. I consistently do what I'm doing. So that I think maybe the secret of fitness or secret of regime was if I do 20 push-ups or let's say 30 push-ups, I don't want to do 40 tomorrow or I don't want to do 29 also. I stick to that 30 and continue with that 30. So that has worked well, I think. That has worked well. That's what is my fitness regime. It's a simple one, no gym, no fancy gyms, nothing.
The most important word, as you rightly said, is consistency.
Absolutely.
चाहे वो डाइट हो चाहे वर्कआउट हो, 2 महीना 3 महीना 4 महीना तो लोग कर लेते हैं, उसके बाद कंसिस्टेंटली ईयर ऑन ईयर उसको फॉलो करना इज द मेन फन.
अब कंसिस्टेंटली नहीं करेंगे तो फिटनेस का कोई मतलब नहीं है. फिर
कुछ ही नहीं होना लाइफ में कुछ भी नहीं होना. सो राजेश जी, सिर्फ मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूं इसलिए क्वेश्चन पूछता हूं. अ क्वेश्चन ऑन गोल्ड. People have been paranoid when it comes to gold. Does gold really have a capability to move towards the $4,000, $5,000 mark because of so much money getting printed across the world, and the value of fiat currencies like US dollar, euro is virtually zero because it's not backed by gold anymore, and the US dollar losing its appeal with negative carry, means negative interest rates after adjusting for inflation. So can we see a tenfold or a sixfold rise in the gold prices?
I would not say that it is impossible. Let me be very honest with you. I would not say that it is impossible primarily because the amount of gold available in the world today, since mankind has existed, can fit into a 20 meter by 20 meter by 20 meter go down.
अच्छा,
इतना ही सोना है. अगर वो सारे सोने को, if you take the entire gold and melt it and make it into one cube, it runs 20 meters by 20 meters by 20 meters. पूरी दुनिया में आज तक जितना सोना निकला है वो, gold is a very difficult metal. To explore gold is a very tough task. It is like searching needle in a haystack. Very, very difficult. Even after you get a gold mine, the difficulty persists or increases. It doesn't reduce. Let me tell you, out of 1 ton of rock, mud or whatever, you get 1 gram to 4 gram gold. 1 gram to 4 gram. 1,000,000 parts. You can just imagine there are 1,000,000 marbles. Out of that, only 1 marble is gold. This rock, you lift it up from 200 meters, 100 meters down the ground, and you turn it into a powder which is as smooth as your face powder. Then you subject it to so many chemical processes to get that one part. आप समझिए, 10 लाख चीजों में से 1 लाख एक ही चीज है. 1 लाख में एक ही. 10 लाख लोगों में से 1 लोग को पकड़ना है आपको, और वो 10 लाख लोगों के अंदर छुपा हुआ है. So you take that rock, crush it into a fine powder, then melt the whole thing in so many solutions, dissolve it in so many solutions, and then take that gold out. It's a very, very difficult process. I don't think we are easily going to see any chemical gold or any, any laboratory gold or anything like that. Diamonds, there is a possibility, and diamonds have already occurred in laboratories. Gold में ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा. मुश्किल है. At least for the next 50, 100 years, it looks very difficult. So when the availability of gold itself is very less in the And when the availability of money is so much, पता नहीं चल रहा है अमेरिका किस तरह का देश है, मेरी तो समझ के बाहर है कि छापते जाओ चलते जाओ. They have nothing, they have only print and they have to move. It's a wonderful job they have done for themselves. They have made their whole country as a currency. तो जो भी छापेगा सब दुनिया मान लेगी. Simple as that. तो जब इतना पैसा जब छपता है और इतना पैसा जब निकलता है तो इतना कम सोना तो कोई भी ले लेगा. The market cap of Microsoft is bigger than all the gold available in the world. So just imagine, अगर लोग सोना लेने पे उतारू होंगे, अगर ये पैंडेमिक और आगे बढ़ा या ऐसी कोई परिस्थिति फिर आ गई और लोग सोना लेने के लिए चले गए, तो कहीं भी जा सकता है. It can go anywhere. That is the whole thing. People have been telling that gold is an unproductive asset, gold is blah, 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 so many things. But if you think properly, gold is the only asset which has remained with humankind. Green bucks have come and green bucks have gone. Countries have come and countries have gone. Companies have come and companies have gone. But gold has only come, it has never gone.
Correct.
Please understand that. So it is the real asset. People understand that.
Right. नहीं, so rightly said. एक जिम रिकार्ड्स करके है जो गोल्ड के बारे में काफी लिखते हैं. And time and again from many years he have been advocating that 8,000 to 9,000 US dollar value of the gold is pretty possible because जो करंट यूएस की सिस्टम होकर रखी है, यूरोप की सिस्टम होकर रखी है. और आपने बहुत सही कहा कि भाई इट्स अ डिमांड सप्लाई स्टोरी. इट्स सिंपल. जब सप्लाई नहीं है और लोग उतारू में आ गए तो फिर कहीं भी जा सकता है.
नया गोल्ड पैदा कर ही नहीं सकते हो. गोल्ड, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. अगर आप दुनिया की सारी माइंस को बोलो कि कल का कल 1,000 टन गोल्ड निकालो, वो नहीं निकाल सकते. कुछ भी कर ले नहीं निकाल सकते.
करेक्ट.
जितने लेवल में गोल्ड निकल रहा है उतने लेवल में ही निकलेगा. मैक्सिमम यू कैन इंक्रीज इट बाय 20%, 30% more. Nothing more than that. It is not possible.
Correct. राजेश जी, बहुत अच्छा लगा. It was really an honor to have you, and I thoroughly enjoyed discussing the nuances of entrepreneurship, leadership, vision, creating your own learning setup, and how should entrepreneurs behave or think in the times of crisis and stick towards their goal. कुछ भी हो जाए, ups and downs से goal नहीं move करना चाहिए. That is what my takeaway is from the current discussion. And honesty, integrity, and hard work, there is no other parallel shortcuts. And if you are looking for one, good luck to you. But then broadly, there are no shortcuts to these three things. So that's a lovely message for all the people that you are hearing, all the people who are hearing to us today. I thank you once again for all your time and a very candid discussion about your professional and personal journey with IFA Global and Treasury Elite. Thank you, Rajesh ji.